I love being in and around nature, but I resist the temptation to make my love of nature a sermon, nor will I say that my discovery is the only truth about nature. And yes, many times I interpret what I see and hear as voices of God. I am that inspired. But I'm not a prophet. I will leave that up to people who are in the business of marketing God. After all, do you know the difference between an agnostic, an atheist, and a religious person? Perception of truth. I did read a quote the other day which seems to sum everything up so well. It said, and I quote, "Reality cannot be found except in one single source, because of the interconnection of all things with one another." When I was in photo school, I learned about the quantum theory, a little bit of it anyway. And more importantly, I learned about electromagnetic radiation, light. The instructor drew a long line across the board, maybe 7 feet or so, and then underscored just a tiny bit of that line and said that it represented the light that we can see, about 400 nanometers to 700 nanometers. Think about that. That is all we can see, but that is not all there is. Just because we don't understand something does not make it mystical. After all, a mystery is simply a question not yet answered. What about sound? Where is what we hear on the spectrum? What if everything there is exists because of its frequency? We hear sound because of the frequency of the sound being emitted. We see what we see in colors because of the frequency of the color in the spectrum, and so forth. What does that have to do with anything? Just this. What if everything is eternal, and what changes is the density, frequency being emitted? After all, isn't ice, water, and steam the same thing, just a change in form? Which brings me back to that brilliant statement, that quote, "Reality cannot be found except in one single source, because of the interconnection of all things with one another." Thoreau said, "We are unable to apprehend at all what is sublime and noble only by the perpetual instilling and drenching of the reality that surrounds us. We can never have enough of nature." He also said, "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, and see if I could learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. I did not wish to live what was not life. Living is so dear, nor did I wish to practice resignation unless it was quite necessary. I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life." Personally, I think the purpose of life is simply to live, and to live means to enjoy all that our senses can appreciate without hurting anyone in any way. And that is my religion.